Starting us off at number 10, Dark Watchers. So Dark Watchers are humanoid beings ranging from 7 to 15 feet tall. They are cloaked figures, sometimes with wide-brimmed hats that have been reported to melt and merge with shadows. If you spot one, they can disappear within the blink of an eye. They are mainly spotted in California. The earliest sightings are by the native Chumash tribe, whose oral history of the Old Ones goes back centuries. The Old Ones are said to observe from a distance. As recently as 2018, a man said he encountered one. He was hiking up a remote trail and came upon a dark figure. He waved as a joke, not thinking it was a person, and it waved back. Then, he thought he might just be tripping out or something, so he took a puff of his cigarette, and then the figure blew out a plume of smoke as well. And if that wasn't trippy enough, it started flowing and nearly floating vertically, so the man ran back to his car. If you ever encounter one, don't be too wary. They're not known to harm anyone as long as they're not disturbed, so just keep on your merry way and you should be fine. At number 9, Tizaruk. So the Tizaruk is a sea serpent found in Alaskan folklore that roams Alaska's waters. It's described as 7 feet long with the tail ending in a flipper. The total length is about 12 to 15 feet long. It's also called a Cadborosaurus from one academic suggestion. This led to the nickname Caddy being given to the sea serpent that's occasionally spotted. It's been said to snatch people from docks and piers. So a video came out in 2009 claiming that it was a Tizaruk, but some say it was a herd of sea lions. Mysterious sea serpents are rumored all around the world. Shout out to Nessie, and I think Caddy is believable. As recently as 2016, a new species of whale was discovered in Alaska's waters, so really we can't rule out the existence of something else out there. So Tizaruk, Caddy, whatever you call it, Alaska might have it for you. Maybe go take a peek. Hit up Alaska. Why not? On to number 8, the Wampus Beast. So this cryptid is also known as a Wampus cat. It is a jet black panther cat creature with glowing eyes. It's mainly seen in Appalachia. So Cherokee folklore says it was a woman wearing hides to spy on her husband, but guards caught her and cast spells on her. This caused the hide she was wearing to form onto her. One rumor says that the Wampus Beast lives in sewers. But anyways, one story goes that a 9-year-old boy saw this beast late at night. His parents told him to get something from the shed. He went out and came face to face with a jet black panther-like creature with glowing eyes, just as we described. The creature gave a weird high-pitched hissing-like sound, which then frightened the boy to go back inside to his house. Then, years later, on the same farm, the boy had another encounter with the beast. He lost a lot of pigs to the beast, but he did escape the encounter with his life. Number 7, gargoyle. So, you might be familiar because the term gargoyle is used in architecture, but it is also a term to describe cryptids that resemble the gargoyles we see in architecture. They are described as roughly humanoid monsters with leathery bat-like wings. They resemble the popular conceptions of demons pretty much. So a popular example of a gargoyle is the Gargoyle of Glastonbury. This gargoyle supposedly haunts researchers who try to learn too much about King Arthur. But there isn't just one gargoyle out there. One person in the States claimed to see one fly over their car. Their mom was driving and they thought they were the only one to see it, but their mom looked at them, pale as a sheet, and said, "Did you see that?" They described it as a thin, bony, lanky gray thing that was illuminated, coated in like a soft light. They said it kinda looked like a huge, starving, human-esque bat creature, and all in all, I'm just rethinking everything about the Hunchback of Notre Dame right now. Those gargoyles? What if it's based off something real? All I'm saying. So some people said the possible gargoyle the last person described sounded a little bit like Mothman. So that brings us to number 6, Mothman. If you haven't heard, the Mothman is described as a 6 or 7 foot tall, dark humanoid figure with wings and bright red glowing eyes. This legend began November 1966 in Clendenin, West Virginia. The story goes that 5 men were at their local cemetery preparing a grave for burial. Then, all of a sudden, something that looked like a brown human being lifted off from some nearby trees and flew over their heads. The men were shocked. It did not appear to be a bird, but more like a man with wings. And then, a few days later, sightings kept taking place with stories spreading around the entire region. While it has been spotted all over West Virginia, its main habitat seems to be Point Pleasant. Specifically in an area locals call the TNT area, where there have been hundreds of sightings. So now in Point Pleasant, there is a Mothman statue, Mothman Museum, and Mothman Festival. And honestly, that's just fun hype, and I want to go. So bad. But here's another man creature cryptid at number 5, Dogman. So Dogman or Dogmen is an umbrella term for an upright canine cryptid. They are mainly found stalking North American woods, as you can see by this map of reported sightings. So some describe another version of a Dogman, sometimes called a Type 3, a Sasquatch looking creature with the face of a dog. So here's one story that is similar to how many sightings of a Dogman or Dogmen go down. A man and his mom were sitting on their porch that faces an alley when it got eerily quiet. They turned their attention to where a trash can had fallen over. They thought they saw just a big dog, but it got up on its hind legs. Its height was taller than the security fence their neighbors put up. His mom went inside and he backed away slowly into his house. Now he says he won't walk anywhere at night alone. While there is a large sum of people who have reported sightings where they said they felt frightened, few sightings have resulted in actual attack or harm. And that being said, if you come across a dog man and feel frightened, like you could be attacked, just walk away, because you just don't want to risk it. Honestly. No. And so yeah, we talked about Dog Man, so we need to talk about number 4. Goat Man. He is described as half goat and half human, as the name suggests. Goat Man walks on 2 legs and is 7 feet tall. I feel like a lot of these are 7 feet tall or 7 feet long. Just saying. So the story goes that a scientist was experimenting on ghosts until one experiment backfired. Then he was mutated, becoming goat-like himself. He then began attacking cars with an axe, roaming the back roads of Beltsville, Maryland. He has been blamed for the deaths of countless hikers. In 1962, Goatman allegedly slaughtered 14 hikers after they went too close to his hideout. It was written, he chopped his victims to pieces while emitting screams that only the devil himself would make. Now people believe he hides out under an old bridge, waiting for his next victim. At number 3, Altamahaha. The Altamahaha is also called Alti. It is said that it was discovered by the Tama native tribe before the British English colonization. The existence of Alti has been recognized by Native Americans for centuries. It is described as 20 to 30 feet long, with a sturgeon-like body and a bony ridge on its top. Its color is gray with a whitish yellow underbelly, but it can be shown to be green. This may be for camouflaging reasons. It has front flippers but no back limbs, and it has large protruding eyes and large sharp teeth. Apparently it swims like a dolphin but has the snout of a crocodile and big bug eyes. Basically. It's located in small streams and abandoned rice fields near the Altamahaw River. So it has not been said to be explicitly dangerous, but don't go near it if you see one. If it has the face of a crocodile, you can bet it has the bite of one too. And with those, you just punch it in the nose. Or like plug its nose and it can't breathe and then you'll be let go. Just tips, pro tips for crocodiles. On to number 2, the orang pendek. So the orang pendek is a mysterious ape of Sumatra, an island of western Indonesia. In the Indonesian language, orang pendek translates to short person. So it could possibly be a homogeneous, and it's believed to be an undiscovered kind of primate species, possibly. It is most commonly described by those who have seen it as a bipedal creature that stands from 2.5 to 5 feet tall. They are covered in golden brown or gray hair and have similar mannerisms to humans. Different than monkeys, they are also said to have human-like facial features. Witnesses have also claimed to see them ripping apart logs, akin to Captain America ripping one up. That's only what I think. It could just be ripping up that way. But let's go on. Last but not least, number 1, Slide Rock Bolter. So the Slide Rock Bolter is a huge cryptid that allegedly lives in the mountains of Colorado. It has a huge head, small eyes, and a gaping mouth. It is said to look similar to a whale with a flared tail that has enormous grabbing hooks at the end. So it was reportedly seen around the late 19th and into the 20th centuries as a popular tale among lumberjacks and miners. Also, it only lives where the slope is more than a 45-degree angle, where it hides and waits for its prey. I'm guessing it uses this angle to be able to slide towards them, as it will sit and wait until unsuspecting tourists walk by, and then it unlocks its claws and just slides towards them. Due to its size, it's said to be able to eat whole parties of tourists in just one fell swoop. Once it has caught its prey, it apparently uses its tail claws to climb back up the mountain and then rest again, waiting for the next victim. Now, skeptics say it may be a drunken lumberjack's explanation for a rock slide, but believers say it may have taken on more of a rocky look to camouflage itself nowadays, as big divots in Colorado mountains say, ooh, maybe it's there and it was sliding, eating the prey.
Coming in number 10, we have Don't Call Jim Everett Chris. So Jim Rome had a long running joke of calling St. Louis Rams quarterback Jim Everett Chris Everett. I don't know how this joke got started, but the thing is that Jim Everett hated this, and eventually both in the same room together for an interview. Jim Rome sticks to the bit and decides that he would call Jim Everett Chris to his face. Well, Jim lets him know that he better stop doing that, and that's going to be the last time he says that to him. Jim Rome takes him up on this challenge and calls him Chris right to his face. And then we get this.
I think that you probably won't say it again.
I bet I do.
Okay.
Chris?
Now, the quarterback isn't the most menacing player on the field, but any professional athlete is usually the size of a truck, and you can see how easy it is for Jim Everett to throw Jim Rome to the ground. Rome should be counting his lucky stars that his producer was there to break it up, because I think Everett would have crushed his head in his hands like he was squeezing a nectarine. Coming in at number 9, we have Anderson Cooper destroys Blagojevich. Here's the thing, we know that many politicians are slimy and try and do whatever they can to try and slip away with all their dirty deeds. Sometimes this is so so blatant that it can make you sick to your stomach. In this interview with Blagojevich, who has been convicted of taking bribes, tell Anderson Cooper that he's a political prisoner similar to Nelson Mandela.
You had a jury convict you. You had appeals courts look at your sentencing, and you even appealed to the Supreme Court twice.
Anderson Cooper isn't having any of this, but Blagojevich continues to try and push the idea that he's some sort of victim, that just his sentencing is similar to the way that black people in South Africa were treated during apartheid. Anderson Cooper informs him that he's actually guilty and nowhere close to being a political prisoner, and then we get this clip.
And you refuse to do that, and you're creating a whole new alternate universe of facts, and that may be big in politics today, but it's still, frankly, just bullshit.
I love that Anderson Cooper won't let this guy budge for a second. I mean, he didn't go to prison, so was justice really served? I don't think so. But some more people get to see how slimy this governor is, and hopefully down the road when people get savvy to what kind of criminal he is, he will get his justice. And guys, don't forget to hit that like button because it really helps us out a lot. Coming in at number 8, we have Alexi Lalas has had enough. Alexi Lalas is one of the great American soccer players. That's a sentence you don't really hear every day. Well, one fine day he's doing some sports broadcasting about the current American national team, and he went on a long rant about how much these guys suck.
Better. Josie Altidore. Is this really as good as it gets? Because it's still not good enough. Bruce Arena. Bruce, Jurgen Klinsmann lost at home to Mexico. You lost at home to Costa Rica.
That is just a small chunk of it. As you can see, he's going through a ton of players, naming them by name and breaking down why they suck and how they need to be better. I mean, he's really trying to make these guys play harder. Later on in that rant, he calls them soft, overpaid millionaires. He really wanted to send the message home that he thinks all of these guys suck at soccer. Coming in at number 7, we have Charles Blow has had enough from Kayleigh McEnany. There's definitely a boiling point when it comes to politics. People will put up with the other side's rhetoric for only so long before they start to clap back and pull them down. Charles Blow is sitting next to Kayleigh McEnany, and the two of them sit on opposing sides when it comes to politics. Kayleigh starts talking to Charles and touches him, and he responds with, "Don't touch me." Kayleigh goes on to say, "Sorry, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to touch you," and then says, "I don't know if you feel like an American, but we have to work together as Americans." And Charles says, "Excuse me?" And then we get this clip.
American? Maybe I don't believe that I'm American. Don't do that.
You said I'm not even allowed to touch you. That is just like what Maxine Waters said.
No, you're not.
That's very sad, Charles.
Yeah, the dude wasn't going to have that string bean tell him he's not an American. He went off on her, and I got to give it to him because that is some of the best finger waving I have ever seen in my life. Coming in number 6, we have Bill Maher gets heckled. Bill Maher has had a political talk show for some time now, and it's no surprise that having a show about politics has ruffled some feathers in the past. Maher has had his share of death threats, angry tweets, and everything else that people have tried to do to come bring the dude down. Well, on his show he had an angry outburst.
Anyway, you have good friends.
Tell us what happened in Philly 7, Bill.
That one's not mine.
A group of conspiracy theorists decided that they would get into the audience of a show and start yelling stuff that no one who was watching the show could really make out, so I'm not sure how much this message was worth. Now, the clip I just showed you was after they already had kicked out 2 people, one of which Maher had to kick out himself because it took so long for security to get there. Well, these people wanted to get the message across about how the government is lying to them, but all that really came across was some crazy faceless people were really angry, just like any other day in America. Coming in at number 5, we have Boomer Goes Boom. Chris Berman, also known as Boomer, has been working with the NFL since before I can remember, so it should be no surprise that the dude has had a bad day. We have all had bad days in the past. Eventually everything is going to catch up with you. Right before Boomer was set to go live, there were people running all over set, ducking under the camera and swooping in and out of the background. Obviously, you have to be very focused to give everyone their football news. This can be distracting, and it turns out that this dude had enough.
Can't everybody stop for 10 minutes? I mean, everybody seems that's the only... Everybody, can we stick... Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that much to ask. Is that when everybody has to move when I'm trying to concentrate?
He erupts on camera, but I kinda get it. This man is trying to do his job. Some people might see him as some sort of a diva, but really, are you a diva if you just need people to stop running underneath the camera so you can focus on your take? Come on, guys. Coming in at number 4, we have Delor Explodes. Delor used to be a very prominent player in the Overwatch community. He had a pretty huge following and was playing with the Toronto Overwatch team. It seems that he should have had a great career as a streamer and a gamer, but he threw that all away when he was having a very rough game. He was playing against a team that had a Widowmaker who was an ace shot. For those of you who don't know, Widowmaker is a sniper, so if someone is skilled with her, they can really shut down the enemy team. Delor was on the receiving end of this for quite a bit, and it eventually got to the point where he exploded. I'm going to play you a clip of what his team heard. I will tell you in advance that this clip is bleeped out because we can't play that on this channel, but I want to play it for you so you can see how long it is. Now, what's the big deal? He was only swearing, right? Well, it was because he was just saying the N-word over and over and over again. Now, this was about 4 years ago, and since then Delor has come forward and said that he was addicted to drugs at the time and has gone through a lot to try and rehabilitate himself. Coming in number 3, we have We'll Do It Live. This is one of the most famous Bill O'Reilly freakouts. He doesn't get quite what he's supposed to say because the teleprompter isn't working, and then he freaks out like this.
Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks!
Yeah, when you see him like that, it makes no surprise to find out that he was a dirtbag. Coming in number 2, we have Conor McGregor snaps. There's no shortage of clips of Conor McGregor freaking out and trying to attack someone. It seems like the man starts a fight no matter where he is in the world. Well, during a pre-fight press conference before the UFC where Conor McGregor was set to fight Eddie Alvarez, he had a freakout that looked like he was going to run right through Dana White. This was before Conor was the lightweight champ, and what happened was he showed up to the conference late. He walks over to the current champ, takes the belt off his table, so Eddie Alvarez tosses a chair at him, not very aggressively, like he literally just kind of tosses it, and then we get this. I thought they were going to push the pay-per-view event right up to that moment. After that, the two of them scream at each other for a little bit, but no one really gets hurt. That's not until they actually fight and Conor knocks out Eddie in the first round to take the lightweight title. Then someone got hurt. Coming in at the number 1 spot, we have Mike Tyson comes for Lennox Lewis. This has to be one of the most famous public freakouts of all time. It was the live press conference that was set up to promote one of the big last boxing heavyweight matches. The current champ, Lennox Lewis, was to take on the challenger who was making his rise back to the top, Mike Tyson. Well, it turns out that Tyson couldn't wait until fight night to get his hands on Lennox Lewis and went straight for the dude. This turned into all-out chaos, with each side having their entourage jump in to try and separate everyone from what was going on. Everyone rushes the stage and the whole thing looks like a swarm of bees bouncing off each other. It's followed by one of the most famous rants that Tyson has ever given in his life. I would love to play that clip for you guys here, but there is way too much swearing and slurs in it for me to show you guys, so you'll just have to imagine in your mind what it looks like to have a furious Mike Tyson yelling obscenities at you.
In our number 10 spot, we have the Queen of England. Okay, your girl is British, and being so, us Brits just have a soft spot for the Queen, but apparently the rest of the world doesn't, and everybody seemingly thinks she's a shapeshifter reptilian hybrid. So that was news to me. Not only just the Queen, but a lot of people speculate over the entire royal family being reptilian hybrids. The reason being due to some footage that surfaced online that showcased the Queen being dressed in one of her cute outfits. But then all of a sudden, they zoom in on her eye, and you see her eye looking completely creepy. Honestly, the footage is terrifying, and I've watched enough horror movies in my life to recognize a demon when I see one, and her eye looked just a tad bit demon-like. Apparently, people have said that her eye was just bloodshot. But yeah, I don't know about that excuse. They really should have said that she had some kind of eye disease, because that I would believe. I've had a bloodshot, probably at least plus 10 times in my life, and I've seen bloodshot eyes several times, and never have I ever seen anything that looks like that. Her entire eye is bloody looking. Honestly, it's as if perhaps someone punched her in the eye, except there's no swelling. It's very strange. So anyways, I see why people think she's possibly a shapeshifter. In our number 9 spot, we have Katy Perry. Okay, this is some crazy footage, y'all. I have obviously heard of the theory that celebs are really just reptiles, but like, damn, Katy Perry? I love her. I don't want to believe it. You can't make me. Okay, but for real, even if she is a shapeshifter reptilian, is it possible that she's not a bad one? I say yes. Anyways, in this clip we see Katy Perry's eye shift from blue to green and her pupils become slits for a second before she seemingly notices and looks away from the camera. Very sus, Katy. In our number 8 spot we have Dove Cameron. Dove Cameron is an actress and extremely talented singer, most notably known for her Disney Channel show Liv and Maddie and The Descendants. Her voice is angelic and personally I'm a big fan. But regardless of my feelings, people speculate that she is a shapeshifter or that a shapeshifter has taken over her body. One or the other. There is some recent footage of her doing an interview on the red carpet, and in this interview she has a moment where it seems as if she shifts a little. When you zoom into her eyes, it appears as if for a second her eyes reveal her pupils suddenly turning into a slit, just for a second, before turning back. It's really quite fast, but if you slow down the footage and zoom in closely, you can see it clear as day. So perhaps she has something weird going on with her eye, or perhaps she's actually a shapeshifter. Probably the latter. In our number 7 spot we have Beyonce. Many are very suspicious of Beyonce apparently, and I had no idea. Apparently she is one of the most suspicious of the Hollywood celebs that people are pretty certain is a shapeshifter reptile, and it's because of a few different shots of her that reveal some pretty wild things. Apparently in one shot you see Beyonce singing and suddenly the side of her face almost looks scaly. In another shot, Beyonce is dancing on stage and whipping her hair around, and for a millisecond you can literally see her face transform into a demon. I'm not joking, it's terrifying. And it's probably real. It's hard to believe her heavenly voice is even human, so most likely she's from out of this world. What do you think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot we have Antique Roadshow Reptile. In this video, captured on camera, it is a regular episode of the BBC show The Antiques Roadshow, when, in the background, the camera captured a man staring at the camera. His eyes appear pretty large, being opened quite wide, and if you zoom in, it looks as if his pupils have slits. His eyes resemble a snake's eyes, revealing that he is obviously a shapeshifter snake. He doesn't appear to be with anyone, just hanging in the background, smirking at what he's observing. It's crazy to see this on camera, but I wonder if anyone has actually seen this in person. My suspicious brain would probs not even believe anyone, even if they did claim that they saw this in real life. I'd be like, show me that proof, or nothing. I'll just be sad. In our number 5 spot we have the NBC shapeshifter. In 1995, there was reportedly an NBC News reporter by the name of Isaiah Carey who was in the middle of filming when he allegedly swallowed a grasshopper. What's eerie about this video is that if you zoom in, you can observe him having an abnormally large, somewhat pointy tongue, and the color is slightly green. The reporter had a very big reaction, which, I mean, if I swallowed a grasshopper, I would have screamed. Drama queen. But most people think that he turned away from the camera to hide his tongue, which does seem possible, but then again, no one wants to have something that gross documented on camera, so I would probably turn away too. Reptile or human? Probably reptile. In our number 4 spot we have the Mexican schoolboy. In a video that was shared in September of 2018, there appears to be a boy and a girl and a lot of chaos around them, students leaving their seats and a lot of hustle and bustle, when all of a sudden the girl seems to turn into the boy, and the boy falls down and faints. She runs down the stairs, now as him, and then after 30 seconds on the ground, the boy, who's being approached by adults, he suddenly wakes up and begins to run at top speed away from the scene. Honestly, this one to me feels like it's straight out of a sci-fi show. I mean, at one part it does look like it's filmed on a phone, but for the most part it kind of gives me old Degrassi The Next Generation vibes, but maybe that's just me. Anyone else with me? But people say that it is real, and so all I have to say is that damn, Yep, that's all I've got. In our number 3 spot, we have the shape-shifting goat. In 2009, Nigerian police actually arrested a goat as apparently someone had shape-shifted into it. It was caught by vigilantes who were chasing 2 men who were trying to steal a Mazda car. They claimed that one of the 2 men escaped while the other used black magic to transform into a goat. Okay, this one wasn't caught on camera, but I thought you had to be told about this because I'm tripping out. Reportedly, the police said one of them escaped and the other turned into a goat. We cannot confirm the theory, but the goat is in our custody. This is the best one I've ever done. We cannot base our information on something mystical. It is something that has to be proved scientifically that a human being turned into a goat. Okay, so anyone else kinda hoping this story isn't true only because then the story is that a bunch of police arrested a goat? Honestly, I'm good with either story being true. In our number 2 spot, we have the alien security guard. In 2012, at the US-Israel Policy Conference, while President Obama was making a speech, there were cameras that were circulating around the area and they were shooting footage of the audience. From the front view, we see 2 security guards standing in the aisle. They look like, you know, they're most likely CIA agents. But then a camera shoots the security guards from behind. And one of them in particular does not look human from behind, as well as the camera catches him looking completely different than he does from the front. We see a bald man with no ears and a pointy chin. His nose looks short and rounded, and his eyes appear to be dark and quite sunken in. Most people think that because it was so dark and crowded that people would have missed this, and that the camera caught this shapeshifter in a blip of a moment in its true form. Many have concluded from this footage that the US is in cahoots with an alien race. And at this point, I'm pretty convinced too. What do you think? In our number 1 spot, we have the alleyway shifter. Okay, this clip is crazy. This is footage of a person that goes into an alleyway that is semi-lit and stands still. And then what appears to be a dark shadow leaves its body and walks away, and the person remains frozen. This clip is so controversial and has been a point of debate for some time now, but I'm not sure what you can even debate. You can clearly see someone or something leave the body and the body stays frozen in place. This clip is one of the most seemingly real clips out of everything I saw, but apparently all of the footage is real. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. In our number 10 spot, we have Rahm Emanuel. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel may be a shapeshifter reptile. I'll let you decide. In September 2012, during a press conference, viewers noticed that his eyes seemed to transform into, well, I'm not quite sure I know how to describe this because it's terrifying. Around his eyes, we see darkness of some sort, and suddenly his actual eyes become enlarged. Honestly, whatever happened wasn't human. Did he reveal himself as a shapeshifter reptile? I'm thinking yes. If you're enjoying this video so far, smash that like button as it'll really help us out. In our number 9 spot, we have Timothy Geithner. Former secretary to the treasurer, Timothy Geithner, has been accused of being a shapeshifter. Why? Well, because there's some weird footage of him possibly doing just that. Footage was taken of him at a press conference sitting and listening to the speaker when all of a sudden something starts happening to his right eye. A weird pattern that honestly looks like a pattern that you would see on a butterfly wing starts to form around his eye, sort of cupping it. It seems that it happens for a few seconds before he realizes it and tries to cover it up by touching the area, and in an instant, it's gone. No one can deny that the footage is rather odd, especially as he touches the area and poof, it's magically gone. It is super possible that we have a butterfly shapeshifter on our hands. Imagine. If I could be a shapeshifter, that's what I would want to be. Something with wings. Probably a fairy. That would be great. In our number 8 spot, we have US General David Petraeus. On June 15, 2010, the US General David Petraeus appeared to faint during a conference, but at one point though, his face appeared to be, well, not human. The footage of this one does appear to be a tad blurry, but it does seem like something has happened to his face. His face looks like it's, deformed, and the person that was looking at him and talking before he fainted, did look a tad scared. But it could have been because he could see something was wrong. So there's that. But also, at one point, somebody stood up and conveniently blocked the camera from seeing him, so that's sus. But honestly, the footage for this one is too blurry for me to say, yeah, probs are reptiles. But the people that filmed it and shared it definitely said that they saw something that day and it did not look human. In our number 7 spot, we have Lady Gaga. Okay, Lady Gaga is an interesting one because there is a video that seemingly shows something going on with her eyes, but also she literally said on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert that she, quote, has always liked to shapeshift. Very sus, Gaga. The viewers of the show thought that it was a very interesting choice of words, and so many thought that there was a bit of truth to what she said, as if the energy around the word held more weight. I don't know. Certainly there are so many people that believe that Lady Gaga has had contact with the devil, and so it would make sense if she was a shapeshifter. Remember that time she suspended something in the air with her magical force field? Okay, but for real, is she a magical devil-like being or a shapeshifter? Would love to know your vote in the comment section below. In our number 6 spot, we have Meghan Markle. Meghan Markle, actress turned literal princess when she married Prince Harry, has had quite some speculation around her over being a robot. Now, I've heard many things, including reptilian, and some people believe something has just, replaced her. But the robot shapeshifter is an interesting theory. It started when a clip went viral over Harry and Meghan wearing masks to promote Madame Tussauds new Harry and Meghan edition. But what made everyone feel the creeps is not just the fact that their facial expressions are unsettling, but also because Meghan is not blinking. Terrifying. Whereas Harry apparently was. Anyways, I think that this got everyone to start theorizing that even though this is a mask, she may actually be a shapeshifter robot, and you know what? I don't blame them. We're probs living in iRobot and don't even know it. In our number 5 spot, we have President Bush. Now, this is a clip of Papa Bush, the 41st president of the US, speaking in an interview, and his eyes seem to change. For those of you who don't live in North America, there is a George Bush Sr. and Jr., and they both became president of the US. Anyways, this clip is of George Sr., aka Papa Bush, and most people are in agreement that he is absolutely a reptilian. I mean, at this point, I'm starting to be convinced that all the politicians are, but who knows? Maybe the whole world is. Maybe I am. Honestly, I wish I could shapeshift. Then I would just shapeshift myself into a passenger that has a ticket to board a flight to Paris and peace out of here. You know what I mean? Anyways, in this clip, his eyes definitely form into slits, and there's no doubt that if this clip is real, and so many say that it is, then, he's definitely not human. In our number 4 spot, we have Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos, who is known as an American serial killer, did a number of interviews before she was executed on October 9th, 2002. During a number of her interviews, people claimed to have seen some weird shape-shifting happening. This is a clip of an interview that she did where her eyes appeared to show that infamous reptile slit. There is so many people that believe that sometimes shapeshifters are responsible for some of the worst crimes in the world, and then they just, shapeshift out of prison afterwards after taking over the body of humans. That's definitely an interesting theory. I mean, regardless, clearly Eileen was evil, so even if she's not a shapeshifter, I'm sure someone could make a case for her being possessed by a demon. In our number 3 spot, we have Reptile Woman. This woman has been dubbed Reptile Woman for pretty obvious reasons. The footage that was taken of this mystery woman surfaced online and was apparently not altered in any way. The footage seems quite normal until it's broken down frame by frame, and suddenly it's as if you see a different person. Her hands look different, her back, her face, and her eyes. It's fascinating. I personally wish the footage was easier to see, as it's not fully convincing me looking at something so blurry. It just makes me feel like it's been altered, but who knows? I may be wrong, and it sure seems like a lot of people believe that it's real. There have been a few people that have tried to debunk it, and truly I think I'm with them on their analysis. This one is too blurry for me to think that it's possibly real, but whatever. It might be. In our number 2 spot, we have M.W. Jeffrey Black Hodgson. Let's call him Jeff. you know, for short. So Jeff is the Grand Master of the Masons in Massachusetts. Yeah, if you don't know anything about the Masons, then definitely have a Google sesh later tonight. That's a whole other rabbit hole in itself. But yeah, if you know anything about the Masons, then you probably won't be surprised that they are on this list. The Grand Master, the big guy calling the shots, is in this video, and he certainly shows signs of being a shapeshifter. From his eyes suddenly showing slits to his skin apparently showing evidence, there are a lot of people that believe that this guy is a shapeshifter. And in our number 1 spot we have Britney Spears. Okay, this one I refuse to believe is real, because I love her. God, I do not want to believe it, but the footage certainly makes you think that it's possible that she's a shapeshifter, or that a shapeshifter at some point had taken over her body. That to me would check out more when you think of everything that she has been fighting for recently in terms of her freedom and gaining full control of her body back again. Who knows? Perhaps there is way more to it than we can imagine. I just love her though, so I refuse to believe that she was born a reptile. Anyways, in this shot, her eyes seemingly show slits at times, just like a lot of the other footage that we've shown, and this would point to some kind of reptile living within her.
Coming in at number 10, we have Handy Manny interrupted by porn. Early on a weekday morning in May 2007, kids in New Jersey, USA were eating their breakfast and watching a Disney Channel show, Handy Manny. Unfortunately, instead of seeing their favorite tool-wielding handyman, they saw, a tool-wielding handyman, but not a very kid-friendly one. Where is he putting that tool? That's the question. That's right, the broadcast was interrupted by hardcore pornography, which must have been pretty terrifying for the kids, but more so for the parents who found their kids watching it. Comcast, the cable network that Handy Manny was airing on, apologized but never commented on how the interference came to be or who was behind it.
The video is so graphic we can't show it. And it goes on for almost 6 straight minutes.
Coming into number 9, we have a scary old couple conspiracy. In July 2007, ABC affiliate WJLA had their signal interrupted and something weird flashed up on the screen. It was a spooky picture and a grainy image of 2 elderly people. There was no sound involved, just the image. Creepy, but not that bad, right? Sure. However, the plot thickens. The cable company brushed over it, saying it was a programming mix-up from an earlier Oprah show. Okay, fine, so then why were all the video clips of the hijacking removed from YouTube immediately after? A lot of people think that the network was covering up for something way more sinister. Coming into number 8, we have Captain Midnight's protest. In 1986, a disgruntled electrical engineer named John McDougall was seriously peed at HBO for their high subscription prices. At the time it was around $12.95 a month, which is about $30 today. McDougall called himself Captain Midnight and threatened to hijack stations periodically, targeting Showtime next. Coming into number 7, we have the Wyoming incident. In 2008, it is said that a local news network in Wyoming was broadcasting some coverage of the general election. However, the broadcast was interrupted by black and grey stripes with text reading, "You will see such pretty things." This was followed by clips of disembodied human heads. Apparently, the pirate broadcast was shown at such a high frequency that it made some viewers vomit. Now, you can read a lot about the Wyoming incident on a creepypasta site or urban legend sites. However, I've been unable to find an official news source. This leads me to believe that it is just that, an urban legend. Coming into number 6, we have aliens on Southern television. On November the 26th, 1977, a scary alien voice interrupted a British TV broadcast at 5:10 in the afternoon on ITV. Hijacking the Hannington transmitter, a scary speaker interrupted transmissions for 6 whole minutes. Now, they claimed to be an alien called Virillan from the Intergalactic Association. With a distorted voice, Virillan said that all weapons of mass evil must be removed. He warned that humanity has a short time to learn to live together in peace. The voice implored humanity to remain peaceful so that we could be part of the Great Awakening of the Age of Aquarius. The hijack was vocal only, and later ITV called the hijacker breakthrough in sound. The identity of the hijacker has never been found. Perhaps it was aliens warning us. Coming into number 5, we have an atomic bomb. On a Sunday morning Czech TV show Panorama, viewers were convinced that the Prague countryside was being bombed. The show is intended to attract tourists and generally shows live footage of idyllic landscapes. On the 17th of June 2007, the signal was cleverly hijacked. What looked like scenes from the usual show broadcast an atomic bomb being detonated over the land. This sent viewers into an absolute panic. Now, government officials were even concerned that Prague was being bombed. It turned out it was an elaborate hoax, but it took a few minutes to realize that. The hoax was actually a performance piece from a group called Zetoven. Coming into number 4, we have news of the zombie apocalypse. In 2013, TV viewers in Montana were stunned when Steve Wilkos' show on KRTV was interrupted by hackers. Pranksters interrupted the show to warn of a zombie apocalypse, saying that bodies of the dead were rising from their graves. They stated that updates would be posted as soon as new information became available. The mayhem happened amid an episode of Wilkos' show about teen cheaters taking a lie detector test. Now, the hack was a voiceover only and warned viewers not to approach the zombies as they're extremely dangerous. Immediately after the hack was taken down, KPTV released a statement. They said the situation was under control and yes, it was just a hack.
Have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the messages on screen that will be updated as information becomes available.
Coming into number 3, we have the first of Max Headroom's appearances. On November the 22nd, 1987, the Chicago 9 o'clock news was interrupted on WGN-TV. Instead of host Dan Ronan discussing the Bears' victory over the Detroit Lions, the audience got a man in a mock news reporter suit wearing a creepy Max Headroom mask with sunglasses and a frozen grin. All audiences could hear was static. All they could see was the maniac moving around as if he was being spanked. Now, it appears the TV signal was hijacked for 30 seconds. When the signal finally made it back to the studio, Ronan nervously laughed. Well, if you're wondering what happened, so am I. On this day, the creepy intruder became an icon. Now, we're building on this at number 2. That's right, coming in at number 2, we have the first time that Max Headroom speaks. Later, the same hijacker interrupted an episode of Doctor Who for around 90 seconds. In the secondary hijack, the plot thickened even further. This man got even creepier. The first hijack had no audio, but the second was a rant. The creepy hijacker spouted about Coca-Cola, Chuck Swirsky, and a dirty glove. After some weird lunging at the camera and head swishing and singing, the hijacker's bare bottom is spanked by an off-camera French maid. Making the whole saga even weirder, over 30 years later, we still have no idea who is responsible for the hijacking. Finally, most terrifying of all, because the threats were actually founded in reality, we have a very real declaration of war. In July 2006, Lebanese fighters fired shots over the Israeli border. This led to a 34-day war in which Israel retaliated hard. Israeli hackers took control of the Islamic Lebanese political party Hezbollah's TV station. They sent out a very chilling message of war. The hijacked signals started showing images of dead Hezbollah guerrilla soldiers. An image of the political party leader Hassan Nasrallah was then shown, along with the sound of gunshots and a voice saying, "Your day is coming."
Starting off at number 10 now, we have the Wyoming incident. According to internet legend, this was a broadcast hack that happened in 2008, affecting a number of communities in the town of Niobrara in Wyoming. Their regular news show was interrupted with this.
Preparation for the 2008 general election. Republican President Jackson.
Over the next 6 minutes or so, viewers were shown text messages and strange visuals with audio snippets playing over them. Every 10 to 15 seconds, a message would appear announcing that this was a special presentation. The text would say things like, "You will see such pretty things," and "You are ill, we just want to fix you," and "What hides in your mind?" Now, that last question was later answered with the chilling message of, "We have already seen it." What was even stranger was that people reported having a physical reaction to the footage. This included vomiting, hallucinations, and headaches. Others said that the frequencies played made viewers' eyeballs vibrate and create visual hallucinations. I'm glad we didn't show the whole clip then. Next up at number 9 now, we have Max Headroom. Now this is perhaps the most famous one on the list. Maybe some of you guys have seen it. On the evening of November 22nd, 1987, many people were enjoying an episode of Doctor Who on Chicago WTTW Channel 11. For those Who fans out there, the episode was Horror of Fang Rock. Anyway, the broadcast was interrupted by a signal intrusion. Suddenly, viewers saw an unknown person wearing a Max Headroom mask and sunglasses. Max Headroom was a TV character from a show in the mid-80s. The imposter hijacked the broadcast for 90 seconds in which he rambled about Coca-Cola, the TV series Clutch Cargo, and WGN anchor Chuck Swirsky. To be honest, even with subtitles, it's quite difficult to make out what's being said. At the time, an FCC engineer said that the perpetrators would face a maximum $10,000 fine, up to a year in prison, or both. It's been over 30 years since the event though, and the culprits have never been caught. Coming in at the number 8 spot now, we have Vrillon. This is a strange one from 1977. During a regular news show on Southern Television, there was a broadcast interruption just after 5 PM on November 27th. After some static and visual warping, a voice made this announcement.
This is the voice of Vrillon, representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you.
That person, calling themselves Vrillon, claimed to be an alien commander from an intergalactic association. The disembodied voice spoke for about 6 minutes. The main message was a warning to all humans to put down our weapons of war and to enter a new age of Aquarius. Then, and only then, would we make it to the next level of evolution.
Suck your energy from you, the energy you call money, and we'll put it to evil areas, giving you worthless dross in return.
Moving on to number 7 now, we have Playboy. I'm sure I don't need to explain to you guys what Playboy is, and if I do, I probably shouldn't. Needless to say, its late night TV shows have been very popular for many, many years. It's one of those channels where you wouldn't expect to see much religious talk, shall we say. However, that's exactly what you would have seen if you tuned into the channel on September 6, 1987. Someone interrupted the broadcast that night and displayed a quote from the Bible. I wonder how that went down with the Playboy viewers. The Bible verses were taken from Exodus and Matthew and read, "Thus saith the Lord thy God, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." The white text and black background appeared during a movie that Playboy had on called Three Daughters, and a number of viewers phoned in to ask what was going on. Police were able to trace the signal though, and 3 years later, a man called Thomas Haney was identified as the culprit. Next up at number 6 now, we have the nuke. Okay, for this one, I want you guys to do a bit of imagining now. I want you to imagine you're just chilling at home, just watching a channel that's showing beautiful scenery, live, it's playing relaxing music, that sort of thing, and then you see this. Yeah, that looked a lot like a nuke, and people in Czechoslovakia thought so too when this appeared on a TV show called Panorama in June 2007. The show usually just showed scenic footage of the Czech countryside to attract tourists to Prague and the surrounding area. When the camera appeared to show a nuclear bomb exploding during its morning broadcast, all hell broke loose. Some people who lived in the area started trying to leave before the radiation spread. Others were contacting the government asking what to do. The government received so many panic calls that they had to issue an official statement confirming that Prague had not been bombed. It turns out that the footage was created as a performance piece by a group called Zothoven. I'm sure their artistic message is appreciated by some people out there, but maybe not the ones who thought they were actually having to flee for their lives. Coming in at the number 5 spot now, guys, we have The Old Couple. This is a really strange one that occurred in July 2007 during regular broadcasting on ABC's affiliate channel WJLA. This image appeared on the screen. Now, to this day, nobody is exactly sure what this picture is of. Clearly, it's two faces. One of them is smiling and one of them looks quite concerned. The faces look like they've been computer generated. Now to me, it looks like something out of a 90s video game. This creepy image stayed on the screen for several seconds with no sound before completely vanishing. Many people said there was a dark meaning to all of this, that this was no ordinary interruption. The cable company in charge of the broadcast said there was a programming mix-up from an advertisement for the Oprah Winfrey Show. That seemed to satisfy most people, but things took a turn when videos of the event were all removed from YouTube due to restricted access. To this day, I still couldn't find any clips of this on YouTube. All that has survived is this image and the questions that come with it. Coming at number 4 now, we have War of the Worlds. Have you guys ever seen the War of the Worlds movie with Tom Cruise? I really like that movie, I'm not gonna lie. But did you know where the title for that movie came from? In 1938, future filmmaking legend Orson Welles created a radio drama based on H.G. Wells' novel The War of the Worlds. It was made to sound like a genuine news broadcast about aliens from Mars invading Earth. If you guys were to hear it on the radio today, you might think, oh, this is obviously a piece of written drama, it's not real. Well, back in 1938, on the eve of World War II, it was a very different time. Many people listening to the broadcast missed the introduction where it clearly states that the following is a piece of radio drama, and they thought it was totally real. This is what they heard.
About 20 yards to my right. Ladies and gentlemen, due to circumstances beyond our control, we are unable to continue the broadcast from Grover's Mill.
Now, according to legend, some people were so convinced that America was being invaded by Martians that they fled their homes in a panic. In the following days, there was an outcry for broadcasters to be regulated to stop this thing kind of happening ever again. That failed, and the piece went down in history as one of the most famous pieces of radio drama ever, and possibly one of the greatest pranks of all time. Next up at number 3 now, we have Handy Manny. Some of our North American viewers may have grown up watching this kid show. The animated TV series follows Manny, a repairman with talking tools. It's fun, it's educational, they sing, you get the idea. Handy Manny is also famous though for a shocking broadcast interruption which occurred on May 1st, 2007. Viewers of the show in Lincroft, New Jersey had their episode interrupted by a clip from an adult movie. Yeah. Say no more. Many of the other interruptions we've talked about usually last for 10, 15, 30 seconds. The adult film clip on Handy Manny went on for several minutes. Naturally, people wanted an explanation. Thousands of kids must have seen this. Comcast was the network that was responsible for the intrusion, or at least they should have been the ones to stop it from happening. They didn't have an answer for why it happened, and over a decade on now, they still don't. Moving on to number 2 now, we have Mayday. On January 3rd, 2007, Channel 7 in Australia was airing a Canadian documentary called Mayday, which features cases of air disasters. At some point during the broadcast, things got strange. The visuals continued as normal, but the audio started repeating a single phrase on a loop. One quick-thinking YouTuber uploaded this video of the event. Many people think that the voice is that of a man from America's deep south saying the phrase, "Jesus Christ, help us all, Lord." See what you think. That went on for an astonishing 6 minutes before everything returned to normal. Many people wanted answers, but Channel 7 were very evasive. They denied that there had been an intrusion, but also disputed what the clip was actually saying. They claimed the voice said, "Jesus Christ, one of the Nazarenes." The fact that so many people disagree with that has only added fuel to the fire that something very strange happened that day. And finally, number 1 now, we have Coast to Coast AM. That's the name of this talk show run by Art Bell. He was used to strange calls on his show, but things got even stranger on September 12th, 1997. That night, Art got a call from a guy who claimed to have been an employee at the mysterious Area 51 base, where conspiracy theorists say the US Air Force contained and studied aliens and their crashed spacecraft. The caller sounded terrified and claimed that they were coming for him and that he didn't have much time to share with the world what he knew about Area 51. He talked about extra-dimensional beings who are not what they appear to be, that they have infiltrated the US military and are now taking over.
Okay, what we're thinking of as aliens are They're extra-dimensional beings.
The caller began to sound more erratic and panicked. Finally, he started talking about how governments are trying to get human populations down to a manageable number so that they're easier to control. Just after this, the line went dead when the power cut out at the station. By the time they got the backup generators running, the caller was gone. Conspiracy theorists say that it was more than a coincidence that the caller was cut off and never heard from again just when he began to spill the beans on secret government activity. What do you guys think?
At number 10 we have Max Headroom. If you were in Chicago in 1987, then you probably saw one of the craziest things that has ever been on TV. It was so nuts because it made absolutely no sense and nothing was explained. It just popped up for 90 seconds and it took over the city and then it was gone. It was kind of like having a robber come into your home, steal nothing but then throw syrup in your face and then leave, and you're just sitting there like, what just happened? Let's have a look at this clip. That is what people were watching for 90 seconds in the middle of an episode of Doctor Who. The worst part is back then you couldn't rewind TV, so a bunch of people at home were probably like, that was weird, but what happened in those 90 seconds of Doctor Who? I gotta wait until they play the episode again. And it got even weirder than what I showed you. At one point that masked figure got up, pulled down his pants, got on a chair, and then this lady in a French maid's costume came up and started spanking him with a fly swatter. It's just so weird. There's no answers and we never know who did it. Like, they never caught the guy, so it's just sitting there in the ether and everyone was confused. At number 9 we have Looney Larry. You thought the only time kids would be safe was while they're watching cartoons. It turns out kids are never safe, thanks global warming. But there was a broadcast that was hacked in Wisconsin. A bunch of kids were just hanging out watching SpongeBob. Well, if it was SpongeBob, it was probably a bunch of kids and some college students as well. But out of nowhere the show was switched to this dude who called himself Looney Larry.
Hi, this is Looney Larry. Welcome to my show, and
The clip goes on like that and Larry does some pretty strange stuff like breaking SpongeBob records in this creepy basement and saying some pretty controversial things that I won't repeat here. At number 8 we have Disney Channel porn. This story is so cliche it almost seems like it would never happen outside of a movie, but here we are. There was one sunny morning where a bunch of kids were sitting around watching the Disney Channel, probably while their parents were getting stuff ready so they could go to school. And then some hardcore porn got laid over the broadcast. It was 2007 in New Jersey, and a bunch of kids who were watching a show called Handy Manny stopped seeing a young boy living out his dreams of carpentry and instead saw something that is only saved for mommies and daddies who love each other. Comcast was the cable network that caused the mix-up, but they never said why they screwed up so royally. They just used the Shaggy method and said, it wasn't me. At number 7 we have Fight for Freedom. Not all the TV interruptions have to be perverted or weird to be scary. Some of them can be totally for a good cause, but they will scare the crap out of you because you have no idea what that means for your country, and it could mean that it's time for a revolution, and revolutions are always terrifying because people will just start dying. In the city of Torun in Poland, a broadcast got stolen in 1985. Why? Because 4 very important people in the Polish science community had a message for the people. They wanted everyone to boycott the upcoming election. They were tired of how the government had been taking from the people and demanded that the people rise up against them. The police were able to trace the signal back to these 4 men, but because of civil unrest and fear of a revolution, they didn't arrest them but only fined them. Yeah, public officials start to be real nice when the walls are closing in on them. At number 6 we have a porn reversal. I don't know if you guys remember Playboy television or even Playboy, but back in the day people used to have to watch porn on TV. You didn't get to search everything based on very specific perversions that you have deep inside your brain. No, you had to sit down and watch the Playboy channel or another channel like that, and it would be porn all day long. And one day in 1987 there was a broadcast that got interrupted by a bunch of scary text. It said, "Thus saith the Lord thy God, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy. Repent, for the kingdom of heaven is at hand." Yes, it was religious text. See, it's not just porn that can interrupt something wholesome. You can also interrupt porn with something pure, and it's totally jarring. The police eventually tracked this guy down, and this wasn't the only time he had done something like this. And this was all pre-internet era. This guy probably is disgusted by the way the world is now. If you can handle the Playboy channel, woo! At number 5 we have C-SPAN meets Russia. A lot of people tune into C-SPAN to get their daily dose of news, and there was one day in 2017 when everything was going as normal. There was a bunch of people in suits talking about the budget and deficit and Congress, and then out of nowhere it stopped being about boring politics, and then it was just a boring Russian talk show. Everyone was like, what is happening? And this didn't just pop up for a few seconds and then disappear, it was on the screen for 10 minutes. That's a long time to have interference with a Russian signal. Now, why is this on a list of top 10 scary TV interruptions? Well, that's because a lot of people think this was Russia testing their ability to hijack American television signals, and it was extremely successful, if that's what it was. That means they could still be doing this, but not switching our programming, but grabbing our data. Stay away from my data, Russia. No one needs to know what my data is except for Instagram so they can give me better ads. Yeah, I want the good ads. Discount Steam games and gaming accessories. See, that's how you get the good ones. At number 4, we have zombies. Sometimes you're just trying to watch some trash TV and then a zombie outbreak ruins everything. And if you don't watch trash TV, then I don't trust you, and you deserve to be eaten by zombies because you're up to something. I don't know what it is. Well, there was an episode of the Steve Wilkos show that was just being as trash as ever. Everyone around the world was just drinking it in and loving every second of watching people's lives fall apart, and then they got hit with some news that told them that their life was about to fall apart. Well, if you lived in Montana, you did. This following message started moving across the screen.
Civil authorities in your area have reported that the bodies of the dead are rising from their graves and attacking the living. Follow the message.
That is terrifying, and also you shouldn't do that to people. Not because it's going to scare them, but because someone is going to get really eager. Some people have been waiting their whole life for the apocalypse, and now they have the chance to go full apocalypse. You're just giving them false hope. Like, that's rude. At number 3, we have the old couple. The less context you have about something, the scarier it can be. Like if you got a text and it just said, I'm going to kill you from an unknown number, that's super scary. But if you get a text that says, I'm gonna kill you, and it's from your roommate and you use his toothbrush to clean the bathroom, then you're like, oh, okay, this totally makes sense. I don't have to freak out about this. I mean, I shouldn't go home, but I get why this is happening. Well, in 2007, ABC's signal was hijacked, and all that was thrown up on the screen was the face of 2 old people staring back at the viewer. Then it was gone. There has never been a hint as to what this could have been or where it came from. ABC said it was a small mistake, but they have worked effortlessly to get every picture and every video removed from everything. You can't find these videos on YouTube or anywhere. It seems like this has been a major cover-up, but the biggest question is why? Why the hell would you cover this up if it was something so small? At number 2, we have threats against the Hezbollah. In 2006, the Israel-Lebanon war was reaching new heights. As the old saying goes, all is fair in love and war. Israel wanted to find more ways to attack Lebanon outside of just explosives and bullets. The Hezbollah was a group that was very much the spearhead in the war against Israel, and they had a television channel known as Al-Manar TV. This is how a lot of people in Lebanon would get political information and updates on the war. Well, Israel found a way to hijack this signal and send a very threatening signal to all the people in Lebanon. They showed the leader of the Hezbollah with a crosshair over his face and the message, your time will come. If you're at home watching that channel for the news and then you see this would be so terrifying. You wouldn't be able to fall asleep after that. And for our number 1 spot, we have Christine Chubbuck. One of the most shocking things to ever happen on television. It changed news, it changed broadcasting, and it changed the world. Christine Chubbuck was a news anchor, and her life wasn't moving exactly as she wanted. She was constantly battling against the different parts of her life. She wanted to bring interesting, wholesome news stories into the news, but that's not what got views. It was salacious death and terror that people wanted to watch, so her bosses were pushing her to find those kinds of stories. Her love life wasn't exactly what she wanted either. It's believed that at 30 years old, Christine had never been physically intimate with anyone. With that plus a few other factors stacked on top of her, like her inability to have children, she was dipping into a very depressed state. Because of all this, on July 15th, 1974, she walked into the studio, started a live broadcast, and then committed suicide on live television. People originally thought it was a prank. It wasn't until the story was in newspapers that everyone knew it was real.